The reason why I had to do this now is because I had just been so invigorated. The reason why I've been so invigorated is because I just came back from directing actors class, and I wanted to maintain the same energy that I had while in class. Just walked into the apartment and I was just feeling that I've lived in those hours in the classroom as if I lived 6 months in my everyday life. That's what I felt. I felt like all of the moderate living that we tend to do during the ordinary, extraordinary everyday life, when you are doing acting and you're putting the filmmakers, the directors in the shoes of the actors, and you're not just sitting behind the desk as a teacher, but you're actually involving yourself in practice with them through the exercises of acting. It is a physical, it is an emotional, it is a mental journey in a few hours that will feel like you are more alive, more aware, more observant. I don't know if that explains how I feel, but that is exactly how it feels. It feels like you have to be so much more on top of everything. It feels like you have to be living bigger. It feels like you have to be living bolder. And that takes me to the movie that it's a must. You guys have to see a movie that I saw last night with Andrew Garfield, based on the autobiographical musical by the playwright Jonathan Larson, who was the creator of the very known musical Rent. It's a film called Tick, Tick, Boom that's on Netflix, and it is directed for the first time director Lin-Manuel Miranda, the same visionary, the same creator of the musical Hamilton, who just killed it with that. He's doing the same thing as a director, and he is because he's primarily an actor. So he understands from an actor's perspective, from an actor's standpoint, how to get the actors to where they will portray these characters, especially this character that's a real life character that Andrew Garfield plays, in the most complex, in the most humane, in the most exceptional way. I just know, because he's an actor first, he's understanding the process because he's been in the shoes of the actor. So he's not just talking from oh, this is how you do it, because theoretically, mentally, I know how to kind of direct you to do it. He knows because he understands the creative process, and he knows that it makes you feel alive when done greatly. Andrew Garfield is amazing. It is something that needs to be seen by all artists. It is something that needs to be watched by all people who feel like they don't know what their passion is, they don't know what they want to do with their life, or maybe they feel like they haven't made it where they thought they were going to make it at a certain point in their life. This guy, the real guy whose movie is based on, Jonathan Larson, was working in a diner, was broke most of the time. He was living in this apartment, old style apartment in New York with a bathroom in the kitchen. He talks about brushing his teeth in the same sink of the kitchen where he has to wash the dishes. But he never gave up. He never gave up. And now looking back, everybody is appreciating him as one of those artists who were ahead of his time. And people could not appreciate that because people were not as advanced as he was. So he got more rejections than acceptances. And he was ready to give up so many times, but he knew that he had something that needed to be said in the world. And that's why people weren't understanding, because he wanted to drive the musical shows into a direction that wasn't the norm. It wasn't in the box shows that everybody else was used to. It wasn't the norm. He went beyond the norm. He went with his instinct. And this movie is about his life before he composed and he wrote what he became known for, which was the musical Rent. The tragedy of it all is that when people started to understand him and his artistry, he had a heart attack, he had an aneurysm, and he passed. He died. He was only 35 years old. 35 years old. He died at 35 years old. I believe he died on the night of the premiere of Rent. So he never got to be applauded. He never got to be recognized by the entire world. He never got to understand what the future and how the people in the future were going to see him as. But he never gave up. And he kept talking about the fact that as an artist, you cannot give up, even if you have something to say, and that something to say is only to 5 people or 2 people or 1 person. You're still sure that that's what you were put on this earth to do. So you keep on doing it. You keep on doing it. Because if you don't, everything that you have is going to start eating you inside if you don't let it come out, if you don't keep on. Wow. I had to stop for a brief moment because I had to gather my thoughts, because I was a little bit too excited and I felt like I wasn't able to catch my breath. What do I think was so spectacular about the movie was the fact that Lin-Manuel Miranda, in the way that he was directing Andrew Garfield to play Jonathan Larson, this creator, well ahead of his time. And I keep saying that because I think it's such an extraordinary quality for somebody to have. And most of the time, those people tend to feel more alone than they feel not alone. Not quite gathering my thoughts, but going back to what I was saying about a director who's been an actor directing and how he understands the process in a way that's so much more involved. I found out from some of the interviews that Andrew Garfield was giving that his mother in real life, his real mother, has passed. She had passed before he was filming this film. When he was asked about how do you distinguish and how can you make the difference between the loss that you feel as the actor in your real life and the emotion that you might feel as the character because you are being rejected, when you know that your work is so extraordinary and you know that you have something to say that nobody has yet said it in the world, how do you make the distinction, and how do you not let the personal from you as the actor to become overwhelmed by the death of a dear one? And he said something like the process, the vessel, which was the film, that he was able to bring the emotional pain and the emotional grief that he was feeling having had his mom pass, putting it into the character, is a healing process for him. He was healing himself, Andrew Garfield, as the character Jonathan Larson. Jonathan Larson was the one that he was dreaming about. Jonathan Larson was the character that was with him during the whole process and the whole filming and the preparation. And he was allowing Andrew Garfield to be able to heal. And he hopes that when the movie's finished and done as it is now, when people are going to go see it, one person in the audience or two people in the audience will have some sort of healing by watching it, by sitting in their chairs, by being the spectators. That's why we love artists. That's why we love going to the movies. That's why we love going to the theater, because that is the healing part that acting provides for other people. It's something that you don't even think about when you're sitting there as a spectator. It's something that you don't even consciously make a decision when you're going to see something, but then all of a sudden you're being hit by something that you're watching, and you're being identified, or you're feeling as if you are being also understood, even though you're not the person on the screen. But you kind of are able to look at that screen and say, you know what? If he's going through something where he's experiencing rejection for so long and he's not giving up, then no matter what I believe that I'm able to do in my life, doesn't have to be acting, it can be anything else. I believe that I'm really great at doing something. It can be anything at all. It can be work, it can be passion, but I'm not going to give up, because guess what? All we have is the not giving up. All we have is the hope. Times have changed so drastically with the pandemic. Everybody's so in a different norm that we have to get adjusted to. I think we are in our lives, even if we're not actors, having to go to that next level of feeling alive, because we are becoming, and we have become more appreciative of the moments that we're still here on this earth. We are still here today. That makes us be more in the present, which actors already know that's what they have to go for. But now I think the rules and the regulations, I call them regulations, but they're actually paths into the direction of living a life that's more full, that's more present, that's more moment to moment, that's more appreciative, that's more understanding, is having to be done with everybody else in the world, because we are recognizing our mortality in a way that is so much more in our faces than it ever used to be before. So then you wake up and you're looking out the window and you're seeing the sun today and the snow on the ground, and you're starting to pay more attention to the sounds that you're making with the boots in the snow. And that takes you back to a place of childhood when you were outside. In my case, I was playing in a village where I grew up. We were going outside, and I remember the shoes that my parents wanted to get me were the good ones, you know, the ones that you don't slide in. And I didn't want those. I wanted the ones that were made out of the plastic, that were made out of rubber, because I wanted to be able to go on ice and slide and have fun. So the things that we appreciated as children, they were the most significant objects. They were not having to do with brand. They were not having to do with how much they cost. They were not having to do with, are they made of leather or are they made of rubber? As actors, just experiencing this class in person after so long of being in front of my computer, just feeling like I'm talking to people in little boxes on the screen, which also I adjusted, and you have to make do with that. But going back to in-person teaching, even though we have to wear masks still, but the fact that we're expressing ourselves and we're using our entire bodies, physically moving around while keeping social distancing, but that energy of the group in person, it's such a feeling of appreciation of life. That's what I felt. I just felt like I could fly. I felt like I could fly when I was walking out of it and during it. And I have the most wonderful young students. They're 18 to 20. They're filmmakers. They don't have to take this class because none of them are wanting to be actors, but they're putting themselves in this class. They're making a decision to take this class to see what it is for an actor to be asked to come in, for example, and to audition for a role. Because then when they go and they become the directors on their own project, they will have a different sympathy. They will have a different feeling of how to guide those actors who might be scared while waiting outside because they have been rejected before. I feel that what happened in this movie was the director taking Andrew Garfield and the other characters, they're all sublime, and giving them acting exercises and making those exercises part of the characters. For example, during the whole time of the film, the through line of the film is the main character doing his own show, a one-man show with text and with songs on a stage. And that is actually based on a real show that the real person did. What he does during that show, while he has the piano that he plays and he has the other singers and he has the other musicians, he is actually speaking out. He's narrating his own life of the artist, and out of his own life and out of his own rejections and out of his own struggles, he creates the text and the songs for his musical. So it's out of something that he knows, he puts it into an artistic aspect in a musical. He doesn't try to come up with perfections in his life. He is doing the one-man show, which he did in his life, that now Andrew Garfield is doing in portraying him during the time of his struggle to make it as a composer, as an artist. To see that struggle and to see the hardship and the many times that he has to almost say, no, I don't want to do this anymore. But then he will turn and he will still understand that his artistry is more important than the struggles and the fact that he doesn't have the audiences of Broadway or of people watching him on screen, because he knows that he's got something to say that will get to the people and it will help people. So his objective, our objective as actors, as artists, is to keep on going. If not for ourselves, when we feel that we're not able to do it anymore and we can't do it anymore because it's too hard, think about it. This art form, it is bigger than just us. It is the art in yourself, the art in the self, not the self in the art. You do it because you have the hope and you have the commitment to it, knowing that maybe in one of the small workshops that you're doing, in one of the small classes that you're able to put yourself in front of a few people, you might help one person. One person is enough. How exciting is that? Why would people not have so much to take from the actors? People should learn from actors on how to be able to think about someone other than themselves in everyday life. And we would be so much more unified as humans. There wouldn't be any borders between us. There wouldn't be any mental borders. There wouldn't be any physical, geographical borders. And we wouldn't have the world that we have right now. This pandemic came and is affecting the whole globe. But we are so separate from each other because of race, because of status, instead of realizing that we are all people who are mortals and our time is so limited on this earth. So why not try to tap into that place that we all have within us, which is the kindness inside of us, which is the caring, which is the empathy that we all have. Why do we not do that? So much to learn, so much to learn. I am so thrilled for this movie. I think it already was getting so much recognition award wise. I just learned of it. And I'm so glad that I got to see it yesterday before class, because I went into the class and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be meek. I'm not going to be reserved in the way that I approach my teaching acting. I don't care that somebody's going to say, oh my gosh, she's so big, she's so bold. Well, you have to go big, you have to go bold before you can pull back. If you don't experience what that feels like mentally, physically, inside yourself, you have nothing to pull back from. Because everybody asks the question, but why are we doing everything so big right now? Why are we acting so boldly? Because when you do film acting, everybody's requiring us to be contained. Well, you can contain something that is bigger than life. But if you don't experience what bigger than life feels, you're containing yourself from something that you don't know. So there's nothing to contain from. So you first have to find what it is that you want to contain from. Big, musical theater, singing, being alive. Allow that feeling of being alive to feel as it feels. Experience it. Acting teaches us to sensorially, with all our senses, observe our life experiences. How can that not be something that would be of tremendous positive help in everyday life? It teaches you to appreciate every moment. It teaches you to appreciate that we are here, alive, today, this moment. Who knows what's going to happen the next moment? Nobody knows. Whoa, 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 whoa. So watch it. It's on Netflix. It's amazing. Tick, tick, boom. Perfect. I cannot believe that he actually passed at 35 years old. But you know what? Him not giving up, even though he doesn't know the success that he later came to have after his passing, he never gave up his passion. He never gave up his dream. And thank God he didn't, because he made this world a better place because of his creations that go on and on and on generations later, and they're going to continue to go on. Rent was made into a movie, his music. And to think that everybody was telling him that he was not doing the musical composition of the song the way that everybody was feeling comfortable in watching them, because everybody wants what they know. Everybody wants to see what they're comfortable with. Everybody wants to just be comfortable watching something because I'm used to that. I don't want anything that's going to trigger anything. I don't want anything that's going to feel like a punch in my gut. Or sometimes, you better experience that in the theater, because then it would be easier in life when you're actually hit with it. If you had the opportunity to experience it when watching a movie, then maybe it will prepare you for a little bit more readiness to take on that punch in the gut when it happens in your life. I know it helped me. I know the characters that I was fortunate enough to be able to work on during my membership at the Actor Studio in Romania before I came here. Myself asking in my moments of desperation as Mihaela, I would ask myself, what would the character do? The character needs to go on. What would the character do? The character doesn't have a choice to give up hope. So then why do I have the choice to give up hope? I'm not going to. I'm going to get up and I'm going to move a little bit slower. It's going to be a little bit difficult to overcome that day, but I'm going to move. I'm going to get up. I'm not going to give up, because what I do is important. I know it is. And that doesn't make me arrogant. That does not make me arrogant. It took me a long time to come to that understanding. And I'm just letting everybody know that it doesn't have to take you a long time. We are so important in everything that we do, because no matter what, there's some way that you, if you're tapping into that territory unknown, because we forget we have it, of kindness, of giving, of trying to help yourself and then help others, we can all be better. We can all have a better life. Wanting to do better yourself is only going to help another person in the way that you can offer help. Feeling like my emotional events, back events from my life, bringing them into and giving them to the character for a moment, even though they might stir some uncomfortableness, knowing that by putting them into the character, letting the character experience them, the one person that's watching me in session, the one person that's listening to me here, might get something out of it, might start to kind of say, you know what? Everybody's going through very difficult moments. Everybody has their bad days. If you have more than bad days, then that's a different story. Get in touch with somebody that you can talk to. I'm not talking about mental illness. I'm not talking about medical illness. I'm not, because that's not what this is about. But I'm talking about the healing through art, the healing of others, because you are courageous enough to let yourself feel something that's not the most wonderful, but heal in the process. And the character will then also go through the same healing process, and then the spectator. Yeah. I am so thankful to the students. I am so thankful to you guys for giving me this energy, and I'm thankful, and I'm thanking you so much. Really. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think I'm gonna join lips. The next time the pandemic goes down, if I'm still alive, I'm gonna do my lips. Yeah. I have to get fuller lips. That's my gift to myself. Looking in the mirror. That's what I need. Because I'm trying to face in a way that this is not being shown, and I keep seeing it. Because I had this cyst that I needed to have removed because I was diagnosed with Sjogren's syndrome. And before I was diagnosed, the cyst on my lip, going to the dermatologist, everybody thought that I had a cyst that needed to be removed. By the time my diagnosis came in, if I would have never operated on my lip, it would have still been the same, but they messed it up. The doctors messed it up. That's okay. They're doctors, they're human. You can't ask people to be perfect. But now I don't like it. So I'm going to do my lips. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Oh.